Guys, this is the second video now. If you haven't done the setup part of this, please go back to video 1. We are now in video 2. So we have our H1 set up and our button set up, and we've given both of them IDs, so we've named them. So name is different than a class. Class means you're categorizing it, whereas when you give it an ID or an identifier, you're giving it a specific name. And so the specificity is increased when we use the actual ID of an HTML entity. So, and that's what these are. That's an entity, and that's an entity. Ooh, scary. Okay, so now we're going to create a program in JavaScript. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to type the keyword function. Now function works very much like var. We are telling JavaScript we're setting something up. Now we create a variable, we type var and the variable name, and then we assign it to something, right? With a function, very similar. We use the function keyword. We provide the name of the function. We set up the parameters inside of the parentheses. This one doesn't have any parameters, so we just have empty parentheses. And that's the head of the function, the name of the function. And then we use these open and close curly braces, which are the body of the function. It looks a lot like our CSS declarations, where we have our HTML tag or our class or our ID, and then we have the open and close curly brace to contain all of the different CSS changes that we're going to make. So with a function, we are encapsulating all the functional stuff inside of this open and close curly brace. Now what this means is that, and we'll see this in action in a minute, is that this stuff that's in whatever's inside of these curly braces here, this will only execute when we call this function right here. So when change me is called, this stuff inside will execute. Well, what's this stuff inside? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to change or reassign the inner HTML of this H1 entity that has an ID of demo. And in order to do that, I have to find it in the document tree first. And so I type document, period, and now we're going to access a method of the document object, which is get element by ID. So we're getting this element right here by the ID. The ID we're going to supply here inside of the parentheses. That's our attributes, or yeah. And so get element by ID demo. So find this thing called demo. Once we've found it, then we're going to access the inner HTML property, and we're going to set it equal to, oops, it's a string, so it needs to be inside quotes. This is changed. Okay. This is a complete statement, so we end it with a semicolon. Cool. Now, I can click on the button all day long and nothing is going to change because we're not executing or we're not calling this function. So we can call this function from the button. So here between the, or after the class, my dog is snoring. Can you hear her? Ariel, shush. We're going to add an onClick event. And we're going to say on click, do this thing. And this thing that we want to do is run change me. So on click, run change me. Cool? Excellent. And where is our stuff? Okay, that was weird. Sorry. Alright, so now when I click on this button, boop, see it says this is changed. So exciting. Be sure and save your work. Okay, cool. So what we've done is we've created a function, and now we can run this whenever we want to. So we can have multiple buttons, and we can change the this is demo h1 from multiple places just by simply calling this click right here. Cool. All right. Give me 1 second here, and we're going to move on to the next segment.